What categories should you sell in as a brand new seller? And this video is for you if you do not want to sell used books. My name is Taylor. I am a six-figure Amazon seller. Number 1, home and garden. Number 2, pet supplies. Number 3, outdoors. And number 4, tools and home improvement.
Okay, those are pretty random categories, and she doesn't talk at all about how she came up with why those are the ones to sell and not other ones. And really, I think the answer is sell something where you have a unique product that is better than the competition, or more specific, the competition, the market specifically that you're targeting. You have an advantage, a differentiation, a reason for people to pick your product over whatever the other choices are. And it's not just because it's the lowest price, but because it's actually better. It actually is the solution or the product that they're looking for and really solves their needs better than whatever the other options are. So if you fit all those criteria, but it's not one of the 4 categories she listed, does that mean you shouldn't sell it? No, of course not. You should sell what you're actually able to sell effectively, not just because somebody named off a category. And by the way, being a 6-figure seller on Amazon, you can meet that criteria by selling literally $8,300 a month. On average, will get you to $100,000. $100,000 lets you call yourself a 6-figure seller. But a 6-figure seller is lucky to be making, if you're just hitting that 100,000, you're lucky to make $5,000 or $6,000 in most cases on $100,000 in sales, unless you have a very unique, high margin branded product that you don't have to advertise and that has great profit margins, great markup. In which case, maybe at most you make $20,000 or $25,000 a year, which is not a ton of money, even if it's extra money and not your main job, and it's fine. Saying you're a 6-figure seller sounds like a level of success that's pretty significant. If someone says to you they have a job where they get paid 6 figures, you're gonna say, wow, that's a pretty good job. But if somebody says they're a 6-figure seller on Amazon, just understand that that doesn't necessarily mean they're making a ton. And in fact, we're seeing a lot of 6-figure sellers close their business because they've been unable to make a profit. They've been losing money. Even selling $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year in products, they're still ultimately losing money. It's costing them out of pocket to run their business, and they're having to close down. I just want to put it in perspective for you. A 6-figure seller on Amazon is not the pinnacle of success. It's really just kind of getting started. And to be profitable to where you're taking money home and making a decent living, not even an amazing living, not a Lamborghini and mansion living, but I could do this instead of having a regular job living, you need to be a 7-figure seller, which is $1 million or more in annual revenue. And even then, it's not by any means guaranteed. So just putting it in perspective, when somebody says I'm a 6-figure seller, so you should listen to me, realize that 6-figure seller on Amazon is actually still really the minor leagues. And when they throw out, here's the categories you should be selling in, that may be working for them, but that doesn't mean that there aren't people selling in other categories making a killing, or that you also couldn't do very well selling in other categories. It's not the category you sell in, it's what you're selling, how you sell it, and how much you make selling it that matters.
Right now I'm bringing in between $15,000 and $25,000 a day, and I'm doing that because I figured out how to leverage my time correctly. Now, if you want to work with me one-on-one, you want to be mentored by me, starting off learning how to sell products online in dropshipping and e-commerce, I want you to click below. I'll text you. Again, no commitment. I'm not going to ask you for money. I'm just going to genuinely see if working together is a good fit. Click below if you want to talk.
Okay, well, if you're making $20,000 a day and that's consistent, then you're making $600,000 a month. You're making $7.2 million a year. Even if that's revenue, not profit, if you're doing it right, you're still making $1.5 to $2 million a year. If you're making $2 million a year, I'm pretty sure that you're not willing to just spend a bunch of time mentoring people for free, whoever randomly reach out to you from your 30-second video on TikTok for nothing, right? Nobody does anything for nothing. It just doesn't make any sense. I also am highly suspicious of the idea that drop shipping is bringing this guy that much money. I have seen a lot of drop shipping businesses. Very few of them crack 7 figures. There are some, but it's pretty rare. And to get there, you have to spend all of your time running that business. You don't have time to mentor people for free from random DMs. So I'm suspicious. And what I'm suspicious of is that, yes, there is absolutely going to be a paid course follow-up after your first initial free outreach. And I also suspect that the vast majority of the money that this guy makes is not from dropshipping, but from selling dropshipping courses, of which 90 to 95 to 99% of people buy and then never do anything with. So if you're looking to spend money sending it to this guy for a course that you're not going to use to make no money dropshipping, then absolutely reach out to him. But if you're legitimately interested in starting a business, selling products online, dropshipping or otherwise, this is probably not the route to go.
FBA is not easy. Selling products on Amazon takes time. If I'm being completely honest, if you're trying to do FBA, you're probably going to fail. One thing I recommend is don't build a brand. Definitely resell products on Amazon to get a feel for it. You're buying from suppliers within your own country, selling it in that country. People are already searching for this stuff. Dove, Tide, Head & Shoulders, big names like that. And then 12 months down the line, when you have experience with Amazon and you've made some money, sure, go build a brand. Step by step.
Well, I liked him up till the end. I think he's saying true things. It is very difficult to be successful on Amazon, starting with a small budget and not having any particular advantage or product knowledge or unique opportunity, right? So if you want to give it a try, reselling someone else's products gives you a couple of things that work in your favor. You don't have to spend money on ads because the brands already exist and have listings and have traction. And you don't have to invest as much. So you can start pretty small, getting one or two different kinds of products that already exist, that have listings, and just making a little bit, a very little bit, on the difference between what you buy it for and what you sell it for after Amazon's fees and shipping and everything else. It's really tough to make any kind of good business out of reselling products unless you're doing a tremendous amount of volume, just because generally the margins are small. So literally $1 million of reseller products may only end up netting you $20,000 or $30,000, $40,000. Depends what your costs are, what products you're selling, but you have to do a lot of volume. But it's true, the risk is smaller because you're sourcing locally, or in your own country at least, and the sales are much more likely to happen rather than you trying to launch your own brand where you may end up getting no sales. But you have to do a lot of volume. And when he says, you can build your own brand, yes, I don't know if, following his advice is better than following anyone else's advice. But even there, building your own brand is very challenging. And if you don't have truly a unique product with unique differentiation and a reason for people to buy it versus what they can find from any of the other 40 vendors in the same space selling the same kind of product and maybe even the identical product just with a different name stamped on it, you're going to find it very, very difficult to be successful. So this is just the nature of this business. When you could first sell third-party marketplace on Amazon 10 years ago, there just weren't nearly as many competitors, and some spaces were wide open and you didn't have to spend money on ads. You could just have keywords to drive traffic to your listings. But now the competition has increased 100-fold. Fees have gone up. Ads are now a thing and you have to spend money on ads to drive traffic. There's just a much more competitive market space to be able to try and get into and be successful. So it is absolutely not as easy as it used to be, and listening to YouTube and TikTok videos that tell you how to make quick money on Amazon selling products are mostly hype and very little reality connected to them. So just be smart about what you decide to do. If you go into business, do it with something that's gonna have a proportionate amount of risk to the money you're willing to invest and potentially lose, and understand the pros and cons and how the market works and what will and won't work in trying to get into that. And if you don't see any competitive advantage, you don't see any uniqueness to your product, you don't see any way that you could convince somebody that your product is the best one to pick, if they're looking at a shelf full of almost identical products, then that probably should tell you it's not going to work out nearly as well as you were hoping. And there's other things you can do, much less risky, much more likely to pay you sooner, much less expensive to start than launching an e-commerce business. That would be much more worth your time to investigate and potentially get into.
These gold spoons are worth $13,000. Let me explain. Here they are being sold on Amazon as a set of 12 for $27, and they're making $13,000 a month. And they only have 42 reviews. And you can buy a set on Alibaba for $2. profit margins are at least 25%, so this seller gets to take home around $3,000 every single month. So would you sell this product? Let me know in the comments below.
Okay, well, again, I mean, if the product's already being sold, then you're going to sell the exact same thing. You're going to maybe pick up some sales from them if you want to get ahead of them, even if they only have 42 reviews. When you start out, you have 0 reviews. So you've got to compete on price, and then the next person comes in and competes with you on price, and she's saying profit margins are 25%, like that's some kind of automatic rule. It's absolutely not an automatic rule. There are some sellers who do better than 25%, and there are a lot of sellers who do worse than 25%. So saying the profit margin of 25% and sellers take home $3,000 a month from that is completely arbitrary and not at all a proven fact. So no, I wouldn't go sell the same product that someone else is paying just because you can find it on Alibaba. I would work on finding a product that 1 million people aren't already selling, and it's different than what other people are selling, and then you can differentiate it and add more value, and instead of selling it for the same low price that other people are selling it for, sell yours for more because you figured out how to make it worth more and differentiate it from what other people are selling. So generally speaking, I would say that advice is not super helpful.